Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week I'm going to talk a little bit about my watercolor landscapes that I do and some of the changes that I want to make or try to make. So on screen you can see an example of the type of watercolor paintings that I do. Some of them are a lot more abstract, but this gives you an idea of what they look like. And it's not that I'm unhappy with them, it's just I keep feeling that I have to keep moving forward, trying different things, experimenting. I don't want to get stuck just doing the same old thing over and over again. To me that just gets a bit boring pretty quickly. So, okay, I want to change something. What do I want to change? I have no idea. So that's step one, is thinking, what am I going to change? I decided after looking around a bit that something I do want to introduce a bit more is a sense of seasonality and weather. So I'm very much into the idea of capturing the essence of a landscape. How the landscape feels, the mood, what it means, all that sort of thing. I'm getting more into things like symbolism and stuff. So I'm looking around for art movements, types of art that might inspire me. And one of the things that I sort of came across was, well, I say came across, I knew about it already, but one of the things that I remembered, if you like, was the Japanese prints, the Ukiyoe prints, woodblock prints. To me, this style of art is, or the artists who created this style of art were very, very good at capturing that sort of essence, that feeling of the time of day, the time of year, the weather, things like that. They're very good at capturing the essence of that. On the left you can see a little example, and when we look at this we immediately see it's snowing, it's winter. There's also a few blossom on the trees, and I just happen to know that in Japan, just because I used to live there, that you do get plum blossom appearing on the trees sort of February time, so you can sometimes get the plum blossom with the snow at the same time. So maybe this is what's happening. It gives you an idea of the time of year. It's something that was and still is very important in Japan, the whole concept of the seasons and changing seasons and things that people associate with the different seasons. This type of art, as I say, called Ukiyoe, and you can see it written on the right hand side. It translates usually as floating world pictures. The top two kanji are the floating world, and then the bottom one just means picture or image. But I have come across other alternative translations. One of them was images in a contemporary style. That was a Japanese translation. So either way, that sort of makes a bit more sense to me, but it gives an idea of how the Japanese saw these prints, sort of thing. It was a contemporary art form. There were a lot of different people involved in this style of art. You had obviously the artist, you had a carver, a printer, and a publisher. So the artist obviously went out, usually with a brush and some ink, and drew whatever landscape or person they wanted to do onto a special kind of paper. That paper was then glued onto a wooden block, a very hard cherry wood block. The carver would then remove the back end of the paper, just leaving a thin layer, sort of transparent thin layer of paper, and they could see the artist's marks on the paper, and then they would carve around those marks. They would carve into the wooden block. So it meant that the original artist's work has all been destroyed, or pretty much all of it has been destroyed, because the process of carving itself destroyed the original artwork. So artists like Hiroshige and so on, we don't actually have very much of their original artwork left. Most of it was destroyed. Once the carver is finished, they send it to the printer. The printer obviously then prints using those blocks, and each print can require numerous different blocks for each color and so on. And then the publisher is also involved. The publisher is the business person, the money person, who's commissioning the artist and selling the final prints and so on and so on. But I say this style of art to me was very, very good at capturing the essence or the feeling of the time of year, time of day, the weather elements. Another couple of examples. Again, the one on the left, blossoms. Blossom is a very common feature in the Japanese landscapes. This is one of my favorite, not just ukiyo-e prints, but pieces of art. There's a bit of humor in it. There's also, it captures the idea of a windy day. And I say that essence, that being able to capture the mood or the feeling of the landscape, not just trees and grass and things, but how it changes during the day, the different elements and so on, and the lighting effects. So some of this is also what the Impressionists were trying to do as well, although they focused mostly on the light and how the light interacted with the landscape during different times of the day and different weather and so on. Ukiyo-e, lots of examples well of nighttime scenes and, for example, rainy days, foggy days, that type of thing. So I say, for me, it is just, it's inspiring to try and find a way to incorporate these ideas into watercolor. Now, at the moment, I have no idea how I'm going to do that, or if I'll succeed or anything else. It's just in the early days. I did mention this on Patreon, and anybody wants to follow along, there's a link in the description box below. It's free to sign up, and when I send things out, you'll get an email to tell you, what I'm up to and what I'm trying to do. But with watercolor in 2026, this is the sort of goal that I'm working towards, trying to capture the essence of the landscape even more than I do at the moment. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully see you again in next week's video.